Today, we're diving deep into the story of one of Thailand's most incredible spiritual masters, a man named Luang Pho Hrun. His life was this unbelievable journey through 19th century Siam, a full-on transformation from a feared outlaw into an enlightened monk. So let's get into it and uncover the legend of the nine-peak yantra. Seriously, think about it. What if a sacred pattern of ink, etched right into your skin, could actually shield you from blades and bullets? Well, that's the whole legend behind the Yant Kaoyod, the nine-peak yantra. It's a master-level tattoo that's famous for its supposed power to grant invulnerability. And then, what if I told you the ultimate protection wasn't even ink? What if it was this? A small, totally unassuming amulet carved from the bone of a goose. An object so rare and so powerful, it's considered a true masterpiece of sacred art. Now, these legendary items, they were born from the mind and spirit of one man, a man who basically lived multiple lives in a single lifetime. So it all begs the question, who exactly was Luang Pho Hrun, and how in the world did he master such incredible power? To understand the monk, we first have to meet the outlaw. See, the story of Luang Pho Hrun doesn't start in a temple. Oh no, it starts on the run from the law, where he built a reputation that struck fear clear across the land. Just look at this timeline. It is wild. Born in 1847, and by 1882, he's the notorious bandit known as Suya Hrun. But then, get this, just 3 years later, in a total reversal, he becomes a government official. And then, by 1888, he's given it all up to become a monk, the path that would define his entire legacy, until he passed away at 81. Every single stage of his life was a complete reinvention. So who was this Suya Hrun? Well, the name means tiger rune, and he wasn't just some common thief. You have to remember, this was a time of huge social change in Siam, and figures like him, these sort of righteous outlaws, often popped up, targeting corrupt officials and rich landowners. He was armed with occult knowledge, had this reputation for being invincible, and legends even say he'd post notices announcing his next raid. Just a brazen, direct challenge to the authorities. The contrast here is just staggering. On one side, you have Suya Hrun, the feared outlaw. On the other, Hrun Jai Apha, the respected government official. This wasn't just changing jobs. This was a complete flip of his identity, from a guy who defied the law to a guy whose job it was to enforce it. And the turning point is just an extraordinary story. The governor of Ayutthaya, he couldn't capture him, and he recognized that Hrun had this unique code of honor and influence, so he made him an offer he couldn't refuse: amnesty and a position of power if Hrun would switch his allegiance. And Hrun accepted. He traded his life as a bandit for a title and really a chance at redemption. But you know, life as an official, it just didn't stick. The secular world, with all its politics and compromises, it ultimately left him feeling empty. And this feeling led to the most profound transformation of his life: becoming a monk. At 41 years old, he just walked away from his government post, his status, everything. He was looking for a deeper truth, a spiritual path that you just couldn't find as a bandit or an official. So in 1888, he was ordained and began his new journey as a simple monk. After years of tough ascetic practice, he finally settled at Wat Amphan in Bangkok. And this is where his old reputation for occult power got a total rebirth. Only this time, it was channeled through Buddhist practice. He became legendary for his sakyant, the sacred tattoos, and he attracted this massive following from every walk of life. We're talking street toughs to royalty, all coming to see him. They even got a nickname, the Nine Peaks Gang. All right, so this brings us to the heart of his legend, the magic itself. So what exactly was the source of all this fame? Let's decode his most powerful creation. The Yant Kaoyod, the nine-peak yantra. Okay, so think of this less as a tattoo and more as a sacred diagram, a spiritual blueprint etched right onto you. Each one of those 9 peaks represents one of the supreme virtues of the Buddha. That makes it a comprehensive shield for both your body and your soul.
The yantra's power is built in layers, which is what makes it so amazing. It starts with physical protection, against weapons and accidents, but its real depth is in how it shields every part of your life. We're talking protection from legal troubles, from misfortune, even from a bad destiny. It's not just a shield. It's like a complete spiritual operating system designed to protect you and help you prosper.
But his mastery of spiritual protection wasn't just limited to ink on skin. He also created what many people consider to be one of the most powerful amulets in all of Thai history, a tiny object with just incredible spiritual significance. This is the Takrut Kradu Khan, the goose bone amulet. Among collectors and believers, this thing is an absolute legend. It's often called the single greatest takrut, or protective amulet of its type, and its reputation is built on countless stories of just miraculous protection. Now, crafting one of these amulets was an act of intense spiritual focus. It wasn't something you just churned out. It started with the bone of a goose or a vulture, animals that fly high, symbolizing that elevation and resilience. Then, he would painstakingly inscribe these ancient, sacred symbols onto that fragile surface. And the final step was the empowerment, days of chanting and meditation that transformed a simple bone into a potent spiritual shield. And the value of these amulets today? It's a testament to their perceived power. An authentic Takrut Kradak, Han from Luang Pho Hrun, can be worth over 100,000 Thai baht, and that's if you can even find one. That price isn't just for an object, it's for a piece of history, a direct link to the faith placed in a legendary master. Luang Pho Hrun passed away back in 1928, but his influence, it is far from over. His teachings and the power he commanded continue to echo right down through the generations.
Now, this is crucial. This power was not unconditional. It was tied to a very strict moral code. To keep the yantra's potency, his disciples had to follow specific rules about their conduct and spiritual purity. Some were universal virtues, like respecting your parents and being faithful. But others were more esoteric, like avoiding certain foods or not walking under laundry lines. The message was crystal clear. The magic was completely tied to personal discipline.
He also made sure that his knowledge wouldn't just die with him. He passed his wisdom on to his students, most famously to his top disciple, Ajahn Pu, who then became the next master of the Kaoyod tradition. This lineage is what ensures that the power and the artistry of his yantra live on even today. And so that leaves us with the big question. When you look back at his incredible life, from bandit to official to monk, what was the true source of Luang Pho Hrun's power? Was it his mastery of ancient occult secrets? Was it the purity of his Buddhist faith? Or was it something else entirely? The unshakable strength of a man who had faced his own darkness and managed to transform it into a force for protection. Maybe the real magic wasn't just in the ink or the bone, but in the journey itself.